Picture an elephant. Now make it bigger, give it a giant fuzzy coat that probably smelled like your old car, and add a pair of tusks so big they would make any man feel insecure. What you've got is a woolly mammoth, the undisputed heavyweight champion of the Ice Age. These weren't just big, clumsy furballs, they were absolute units. And today we're diving into the epic story of what it was really like to be a mammoth. So when were these guys stomping around? Forget dinosaurs. Mammoths are way more recent. They were the rock stars of the last great ice age. They were chillin', literally, while our own scruffy ancestors were figuring out how to not get eaten and maybe invent the wheel or something. We're talking about a time when a huge chunk of the world was covered in ice. Think Canada, but everywhere. And right in the middle of it all, you had these absolute units. So how long did a mammoth get to enjoy this frozen wonderland? Well, if they managed to avoid becoming a saber-toothed tiger's lunch special, they could live for about 60 to 70 years. Pretty much the same as modern elephants, which, let's be honest, is a pretty solid run when everything around you is frozen and actively trying to kill you. Okay, so what does a mammoth do all day? Mostly, they ate. A lot. They were like giant walking lawn mowers. They were complete vegans, but don't let that fool you. These were 6-ton vegan bodybuilders. They spent up to 20 hours a day eating grass, shrubs, and whatever other hardy plants they could find on the cold, dry plains. This vast, grassy world they lived in is sometimes called the Mammoth Steppe. It was basically a planet-sized all-you-can-eat buffet, and they needed it. An adult mammoth could munch to you over 400 pounds of food a day. That's like your mom. That's like eating 700 cheeseburgers without the cheese or the burger. So, just the bun, I guess. So, just a bun. After a long day of chewing, where do they crash? Well, we haven't found any mammoth bunk beds, so the best guess is they slept like modern elephants, standing up, huddled together in a herd for warmth and protection. Sleeping standing up meant they were always ready to make a quick getaway if a predator showed up for a midnight snack. Efficient, but probably not great for your back. I've seen a couple people sleeping standing up in the subway, and they sure looked ready to get away if a predator tried to eat them. These mammoths were also great fighters. Those incredible tusks weren't just for show or shoveling snow. When it came to impressing the lady mammoths or defending their turf, the males would go head-to-head in epic tusk-swinging contests. This was prehistoric bumper cars, but with 10-foot-long bone spears attached to your face. And it wasn't just each other. A cornered mammoth was one of the most dangerous things on the planet. They could use their tusks, their massive weight, and their powerful trunks to fight off predators like giant cave lions and those terrifying short-faced bears. Imagine a bear the size of a small car. Yeah, mammoths fought those. So we had these powerhouse mammoths. But they weren't alone on the ice. And what about our own kind? How did we get along with these furry giants? Well, our relationship was complicated. On one hand, early humans probably looked at a mammoth with total awe. They were powerful, majestic creatures. We know this because humans painted them all over cave walls. On the other hand, a single mammoth was a walking supermarket. Successfully hunting one meant food for the whole tribe for weeks. The thick hide could be used for clothing and shelter. The bones and tusks were carved into tools, needles, and even jewelry. The mammoth was the Swiss Army knife of the Stone Age. It was food, clothing, housing, and art all rolled into one gigantic hairy package. Hunting them was incredibly dangerous. Of course, it took teamwork, strategy, and a whole lot of courage. It wasn't one guy with his spear, it was a coordinated group effort to take down a beast the size of a school bus. So if they were so tough, so successful, so insane, where did they all go?
Why aren't we dodging them on the highway today? The answer is a double whammy, a perfect storm of extinction. First, the world changed. The Ice Age started to end. The planet's thermostat got cranked up. Yeah, global warming. Apparently, it's not a new invention. As the glaciers melted and the world got warmer and wetter, the mammoth's favorite restaurant, that giant grassy salad bar, started to disappear. It was replaced by dense forests and soggy wetlands, which mammoths were built for. Their food source vanished. Second, at the exact same time their world was falling apart, the other players on the scene, us, were getting really good at hunting them. Humans were spreading across the globe with better tools and smarter tactics. So you have a species struggling to find food in the rapidly changing world, and you have a new, highly efficient predator. It was a point-two punch they just couldn't recover from. But here's the craziest part. While most mammoths died out around 10,000 years ago, a small, isolated group survived on a remote island in the Arctic Ocean called Wrangel Island. And they weren't just there for a little while. The last woolly mammoths were still alive on that island while the Great Pyramids were being built in Egypt. Yeah, you heard me right. Our ancestors were building one of the wonders of the world, and a few hundred miles north, actual living woolly mammoths were still kicking. They were just fashionably late to their own extinction party. Just like you're late to click the subscribe button and hit the notification bell. All right, back to the story. The story of the woolly mammoth is a powerful one. It's a story of adaptation, of survival, and a stark reminder of how quickly a world can change. These weren't slow, stupid beasts. They were intelligent giants that dominated a frozen planet for hundreds of thousands of years. And who knows, with scientists talking about de-extinction, maybe, just maybe, their story isn't completely over. But that's the topic for another day.